Hello, and welcome to the Inside EVs podcast for January the 22nd, 2021. This is episode number 42, and will contain the answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything. Aside from that, our top stories today: Mercedes EQA makes its debut. The DeLorean DMC-12 is back to an electric future. Made in China Tesla Model Y starts shipping. I'm Dominic Yoni, Inside EVs editor and the Inside EVs forum moderator. Joining us today is Tom Moloughney, Inside EVs editor and host of the YouTube channel State of Charge with Tom Moloughney. We also have Martin Lee with us from the EV News Daily podcast, available on all your usual podcast platforms. And Kyle Connor joins us from the Out of Spec Studios family of YouTube channels. He also puts together the awesome videos for the Inside EVs YouTube channel. Go subscribe and tap that bell icon for notifications. And if you like the podcast, please leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, which helps others discover us and spread the word about EVs. And if you're watching us on YouTube, we'd love a thumbs up there as well. So good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the audience and gentlemen here. So what do we have charging up in our driveways this week? I believe, Tom, you have something with a plug that you can tell us about?
Sure. Yeah. So I just got, I think 2 days ago, I haven't had a chance to drive it too much yet, a Chrysler Pacifica hybrid, and the only plug-in minivan available. And
right.
While this has been out for a few years now, it's had kind of like a rocky launch. Chrysler launched it and then they stopped because there was some kind of problem. Then it was available again. Then I think they pulled back. In any event, there hasn't been a lot of inventory of these vehicles available. So it's unfortunate because it's a pretty good vehicle from what I've seen so far. I mean, Chrysler makes the best minivans, in my opinion, at least. They invented the minivan. They've always been one step ahead, I think, of the other brands. It's one of the few things that I think Chrysler really just dominates at. They make great minivans, and this is no exception. It's a great minivan. I mean, I have the top of the line trim. It's the sticker price is $52,000, so it's expensive. But this thing has the rear seats have pillows, as you know, leather pillows. Besides, you know, the infotainment systems for the kids in the back seat built into the seats, the third row seating, all leather. It's got this really cool camera system where you press a button on the dash, and it has overhead cameras of all the seats behind you. So you can keep an eye on all of your kids while you're driving.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, look at it. It's absolutely, the inside is plush and super comfortable.
That's a minivan?
I'm still deciding. Yeah, you see, it's the Pinnacle trim.
Wow.
I'm still deciding if it's a good plug-in vehicle, though. It's a great minivan. And while it does plug in, it has a 16 kilowatt hour battery. Of that, about 12 kilowatt hour is usable. It has an EPA rated range of 31 or 32 miles. I have to check. It's either 31 or 32. Right. I think it's 31. And I've found that the weird thing about it is it's one of the only plug-in hybrids I've ever driven that doesn't allow you to select modes. Like, you can't select all electric mode. It decides when it's going to be in all electric or hybrid mode. So while, you know, I think they're trying to dumb it down and make it simple for their customers, in my opinion, it's another reason why they don't call it the Chrysler Pacifica plug-in hybrid. It's the Chrysler Pacifica hybrid.
Right.
They don't talk about plugs. They want to make it really easy for the customers not to be worried about this, you know, having to plug in. They don't want it to be different. So I think they don't want to allow people to select electric mode and so forth and so on. But here's the problem. I live 4 miles from the town center in my town. So it's an 8-mile round trip. And I go there at least twice a day, sometimes 3 or 4 times a day for just little errands, pick things up, the coffee shop down there. And so I can easily drive there 8 miles, come back on all electric, but I can't do it with this. It won't let me. It turns the gas engine on, you know, for an 8-mile trip, and I come back, I can plug it back in, be back to 100%. In, you know, in under an hour, and these 4 trips I make would be 100% on electric. You can't do that with this, and it's really frustrating. I know that's maybe a small use case, but it's really you know, it shows that, you know, this is something that Chrysler, they don't have any experience with plugins. I understand where they were getting at with this. Make it simple. compute when the best average fuel economy is going to be, and I'm averaging 32 miles per gallon so far overall, which is pretty good for this big minivan. I mean, think about that. I think the gas version gets 21 or 22 miles per gallon. So that's going to add up. I'm going to do a comprehensive review on Inside EV. So I'm going to do the calculations. If you were to pay all gas and get 22 miles per gallon versus this at 32, pay for the electric, I'm going to figure out if you're going to save money. I believe you're going to quite a bit, but you could save even more if they would allow you to select the modes. And when I'm doing these little in-town jaunts, just leave it in all electric mode. I don't need the
Right.
Well, surely that's the point of a plug-in hybrid is you want that flexibility, and you want that ability to plug in. And in fact, you want it promoted as a plug-in hybrid so that you can know, actually, if I plug this in, then I'm gonna get better mileage, I'm gonna be able to use the electricity and all those things. So it's all promising, but it's certainly, if they're promoting it as just hybrid, is it just me, or is that, do you guys feel the same?
I mean, this thing's been around for a few years now. I think it came out in like 2017 or something. And I never realized that, you couldn't go all electric mode on purpose. Like, it has like an all electric range given, it's kind of bizarre, but yeah.
It looks nice. It would seem to me that you should have, in any plug-in hybrid, you should have that level of control. And I've never heard of not at least being able to kind of force the mode. That would be a big strike against it for me, because you want to be able to do those electric miles. If we always talk about as well, like, plug-in hybrids can be a bit of a gateway into full EV when you realize how good it is. But if you take away that option, I don't know, that's a bit of a negative check mark for me.
Yeah, but man, the interior does look kind of good though. But it's kind of nice.
It's super luxurious inside, Dom. It really is.
Is it like nice? Is it like nice, or is it like, it looks nice, but the material?
No, it's nice. It's comfortable. The seats are wide. It's got a huge armrest in the middle, which is so comfortable just to rest on. And I mean, everything seems to be laid out really well. The center screen is bothersome though. I'm going to take some pictures of it. It has tiny fonts. The outside temperature, I'm telling you, it's like 2 millimeters. Like, you can't see it. It's the smallest font I've ever seen, but comfort wise, it's really, I mean, I'd love to take this thing to go visit Kyle or something and drive it to Colorado. On a long drive, it would be a beast for a long haul like that.
Right on. Well, we'll look for that coming up on Inside EV's website. So Kyle, you have something this week, but it's not electric, but it's a hybrid or something, but you can do something maybe interesting with it.
Yeah, so I have 2 electrified vehicles on test this week. One's like a mild hybrid boost system. We won't even talk about that. It's the new Mercedes E-Class. Really nice, though. But also the new F-150 Power Boost Hybrid. And the reason I think this is exciting is because it's the gateway to kind of understanding what an electric pickup truck might be like, because I'm able to go through the Starbucks drive-through, drive at low speed up and down my street, all electric in a pickup truck for the first time. And it's really exciting. Yeah, I've never driven a hybrid truck. I think there was a Silverado hybrid back in like 2010, something like this, which was a really garbage drivetrain that GM used so that moms could get HOV lane passes in Los Angeles. But basically, the F-150 hybrid power boost, first off, stupid fast. We won't get into the truck. I'll have a full review on out-of-spec reviews. This truck has a 7 kilowatt onboard inverter. And I'm going to do a video where we charge up our Model 3 from 0% to 100% on the truck and measure the fuel economy of the Tesla through the F-150, which will be kind of interesting to see, calculate the efficiency, the cost. My guess is it will be very inefficient to do this. Right. Also, it'll be interesting to see if the hybrid truck can sustain 7,000 watts for 10 hours, whatever it'll be. So
that's a lot of power, man.
Yeah.
That's 7,000 watt. Whatever lights, like, that's a lot of heat and light. And man, does the Cybertruck or the any electric cut, the Rivian truck, do they put out that much in their auxiliary plugs?
Well, I don't know if we have the exact details, but we do know they'll have a 240 volt outlet on the back of probably both of those vehicles.
Right.
And I can already tell you, I've found so many use cases for this extra functionality of plugs in the back. Really, it's a great research project for me to spend some time with a pickup truck, do some towing, really drive it around. And I got to say, I absolutely love it. Can't wait for an electric truck. I'm still not convinced battery electric makes sense for a pickup truck, though. I really think as much as I do not like plug-in hybrids and the compromises that come along with them, I think a pickup truck might be the best argument for a plug-in hybrid. And the reason I say that is here in Colorado, if I need to load up a car on the back of the trailer, we're moving cars all over the place, we're reviewing stuff, and I need to throw a trailer full of things. I also got to gain 7,000 feet of altitude to go 30 miles west of here. So it's just straight uphill, and I would lose an entire battery going up one pass. So we'll have to see how electric trucks can handle loads and heavy hauling.
Where is the plug socket on the truck?
Yeah, so when you open the tailgate, it's one of those nice automatic tailgates, by the way. It also auto closes. I've never seen this before in a truck. It's right on the left side when you open up the tailgate.
And what's the socket? What kind of socket is it?
Yeah, I forget the exact name. It's not a 1450. It's one of it's a welder plug. It's a 30 amp, I believe. And so I have an adapter just laying around, but I don't remember if it's like a 1030L or something like this.
Yeah, cool.
So you can stick like a strip of different plugs in there, like an adapter, so it fits in that thing. Then you have like 6 or 7, half dozen like regular plugs.
Yeah, you have 4 regular plugs,
okay.
2 on one circuit, 2 on another. And it's really neat. There's 2 3.6 kilowatt inverters that power the full 7 kilowatt. I imagine each of those 3.6 kilowatts at 120 volts, and you add them together, you get 240.
Right.
So pretty neat for sure. I honestly haven't spent too much time with it. I've been working most of the week, but it's out right now with our writer getting a review on outofspecstudios.com. It'll come back tonight, and tomorrow we do the experiment.
Yeah, well, this sounds like a pretty interesting little science experiment, and my mic's messing up here. So
one point I want to make, Don, about the 7 kilowatt output. For those that aren't really familiar with electric output, that's enough to power a house.
Yeah.
Most homes, their average draw is going to be under 7 kilowatts, unless you have like your central air conditioning on, or maybe if you're powering up your electric range, you've got a powerful electric range that might push your overall home's output over 7 kilowatts. But just to run things like refrigerators, lights, computers, everyday appliances, you could power your whole house with that. So that's really that's a great feature to have.
And Tom, you're already reading my mind, because after the Tesla charging, that's what we're going to do. We're going to run 1 million extension cords into the house, and we're going to power everything and shut the breaker off.
I mean, that's why I mentioned it, because you mentioned powering a Tesla, which is cool and a fun thing, but not that many people are going to need to do that. But a lot of people would need to power their house. So, that's awesome. 7 kilowatts is a great output.
Yeah, it's a really neat truck. You get a sense of what the F-150 battery electric's going to be like. It should be on this platform. Honestly, amazing size, gorgeous interior. Everything about this truck is 10 out of 10. Really have fallen in love with it. Actually kind of makes me want to get it. So I really like this F-150 Power Boost Hybrid Limited. It's also numbered. It's number 24, which is pretty interesting.
Okay, so let's move on. We got a bunch of stories today. There's a lot of small stories, but there's a couple of bigger ones. So let's start with this. Mercedes has debuted its next electric vehicle, the EQA. It's a compact crossover, smaller than the EQC, which was supposed to be sold in the US, but now isn't. Sales of the EQA should begin this spring in Europe, with production happening in both Europe and China. And just as the EQC was built on the same platform as the GLC, Mercedes GLC, the EQA is built on the same platform as the Mercedes GLA. That's the MEA 1.5 if you're keeping score at home. And if and I understand it originated as Mercedes' small vehicle platform, the MFA. So there's all that technical background stuff. The first version to arrive, the EQA 250, will be a front-wheel drive with a 140 kilowatt asynchronous motor. That's about 188 horsepower. It's said to achieve 302 miles of range on the highly optimistic NEDC cycle. So I don't know, 230 miles maybe. Its battery is 66.5 kilowatt hours usable. On the Mercedes site, they say the powerful high voltage battery has a maximum voltage of 420 volts and a nominal capacity of 190 amp hours, which giving a energy content of 66.5 kilowatt hours. However, when you do the math, 420 times 190, you get to 98 or 79.8 kilowatt hours. So it seems like they have a pretty healthy buffer going on there, if that's all correct. So yeah, it's said to get about 15.7 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, but that's on the NEDC cycle as well. So we're not really sure. It's not particularly quick. It goes from 0 to 60 in 8.9 seconds. Top speed is 99 miles an hour. The charging time is from 10 to 80%. Full charge at the DC rapid charging station should be about 30 minutes. Max power can take is 100 kilowatts. Other versions will launch featuring dual motor all-wheel drive, putting out 200 kilowatts or 268 horsepower and offering 310 WLTP on a charge. And yes, Mercedes used 2 different cycles on the same press release. I have no idea.
Well, I only saw WLTP, so I'm surprised they said NEDC, which is why even? I mean, why?
Because China
for the Chinese market. But,
yeah.
But yeah, so the release I got was all WLTP. So for me,
okay,
all I know is a 265 mile WLTP. So then I kind of do a little bit of mental rejiggery and think maybe that's 245 on EPA.
Yeah. Okay, so that's better. That's better than my original. Like when I read when I read an NEDC number, I just lop like a third of it off, basically.
Well, if not more, yeah, you're right. So if not half of it, but so yeah, that's what I saw. So I saw 265 WLTP and 300 plus for the AMG or whatever they call it, the all-wheel drive version.
So it's kind of interesting here that the all-wheel drive version seems to be more efficient, because I didn't see anything about a bigger battery for the all-wheel drive version.
I presumed it would be a bigger battery or you get access to more of the energy, which would be weird that they would limit you on the smaller one. I don't understand why they would do that, but it's a massive, like a 13 kilowatt hour buffer by your maths, and it's like, that doesn't make any sense.
Right. See, no news about a bigger battery. So I was thinking, so the rear motor is a synchronous motor. And see, the Mercedes EQ philosophy is to optimize consumption by using the rear electric motor as often as possible, while the asynchronous motor at the front axle generates only minimal drag losses in partial load operation. But so why not use a synchronous motor on the front as well? I don't know. I'm not an electrical engineer, and yeah, maybe we should have one, like an electric motor designer on the show sometime to tell us how all this works. I don't know. It has a heat pump. That's pretty interesting. So I don't think this is coming to the USA either. I saw nothing about the US market in any of the press releases, and there was a bunch of press releases for this thing.
Again, maybe I got a different press release in the UK. It said TBC next to North America.
To be
TBC, so to be confirmed. So
confirmed.
Either neither confirmed nor denied on that. So weird. Why not just say like VW did with the ID3? This one isn't coming, but this one is. But just to leave it up in the air again, it was a weird one.
Right. It's yeah. So it's an interesting vehicle. I don't know, Tom. Do you have some thoughts about this? You drove the EQC a little bit, right?
Yeah, I drove the EQC for on a couple of occasions, and really nice EV. I'm really waiting to see Mercedes put forward their dedicated platforms. I really want to see what can this brand do when they, go ground up and start from scratch. I'm sure this will be just fine, and they've got good engineers over there, and they're engineering these platforms from the beginning to accommodate both powertrains. So it's not like we were 8 years ago where, they took a car that was just made to be an ICE and like ripped it apart, reinforced it, and shoved batteries wherever they could fit in. So the cars we're getting now that like BMW is making and Mercedes, they are being engineered from the beginning to accommodate both powertrains, but they're still incredible. They're incredibly compromised.
Right.
And it's hard for me to get excited about this. another EV on the market, great. You know, that it's going to appeal to more people. Doesn't seem like it has great range. You know, if it was, you said 306, I think, NEDC, you know, we could back that out to the EPA is going to be in the low 200s, which is, you know, I mean, it's going to be comparable to what, you know, the e-tron gets and perhaps the Volvo XC40 Recharge, somewhere in that range. But it's not doing anything new. It's not giving us really something that we don't have before. You know, it's just, okay, here's our version of what's kind of available today, guys, with a Daimler badge on it. So is it nice? Yeah, I think it looks nice, but I'm certainly not excited over this.
Right. It's like a baby brother of the EQC, which you drove, and I believe it has like a lot of the same. It feels a lot of the same, but smaller on the inside. I don't know if we've shown the interior, but the interior looks pretty nice in some of the shots. I'm not sure about the big round. It has big round vents that kind of remind me of like a Art Deco take on a jet engine or something. But
Mercedes has been using those for years.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, they're in everything.
So it's hard to say if this is to be confirmed. Yeah. So it could. I don't know. And I don't even know if it's like the kind of it's kind of vehicle that would sell here. You know, it's like it is a crossover, but it's like small. It's luxury. But when Americans think luxury, I think we think big and posh. This is like small and posh. I don't know, Kyle. What do you think about that?
New trend, younger folks, my generation, we're not so much into the big and posh lifestyle. I think that's probably our parents, or maybe somewhere in between. For people my age trying to get into, out of college, getting their first big job as a real estate agent, lawyer, whatever it is, they're trying to seem professional. We see a ton of small Mercedes all-wheel drive products in sort of like the hipster premium areas of town, like here in Fort Collins where I live. A lot of graduate students at the college all driving small Mercedes with a light up badge. Obviously it's a status symbol. I think now you have the green element to go with it, and in certain markets it's going to be pretty attractive. A lot of people really respect the Mercedes badge. Look, I'm driving a brand new Mercedes this week, super nice, no question, but I think Daimler is just not showing anything exciting. So in terms of your general consumer, I think it would actually sell.
Okay.
Once we get past, it really comes down to the charging curve and cold weather charging ability. These are problems I think XC40 Recharge and Polestar 2 have. I think this has more mass appeal than either of those two vehicles for the general younger audience on a lease, for example.
Okay.
And the big disappointment here from an EV enthusiast is almost everything. Nothing's exciting. Nothing's new. Right? All they've done is packaged it up and put a Mercedes badge on it and some really ugly wheels and said, here we go. We're going to sell this thing. So I really, not a fan personally, but I think it's actually not a bad move. They already had all the tech from the EQC. Just throw it in something smaller, make it cheaper, and let it go. I think it'll do okay.
Well, that's the formula for this first batch of vehicles. Like they have like 6 vehicles coming in over the next 2 years. So like this year they have this one, the EQA is first. Then we'll see the EQB pretty soon. Slightly larger. Then there's an EQE, which is, I believe, they call like an executive sedan, I believe. And then finally we get the vehicles on the platform that are made for just electric only. The next EQS, which would be like an electric S-Class kind of vehicle, and that's going to be electric only architecture underneath that. And then
that has to be the best thing that company has ever made ever. Because the S-Class is the pinnacle of Mercedes. It's always been on the forefront of everything. And if this car isn't lucid levels of technology, I'm not sure what the future of Daimler looks like.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, and that's the thing, because that's a Lucid have really set a high bar, and it's kind of odd to see like an OEM like Mercedes with such a rich history, just. We're not sure if they can actually attain that level of technical excellence.
Well, they haven't shown it.
Isn't the EQS coming in 2 body shapes as well? Like it comes in the sedan,
right? And
it's also going to come in SUV, but they're both called EQS. And I think they do that with the EQE as well. Like the EQE is going to be a sedan saloon, but also an SUV. But they're both called EQE, and it's like I'm not massively familiar with Mercedes combustion range anyway. It is all alphabet soup to me. It's just so this is taking the GLA to the EQA and the GLB to the EQB. But so I kind of need to educate myself anyway on the cars that Mercedes-Benz sell anyway. But that also seems weird to be, have they have one name for the car and then two different body shapes. Maybe that's normal for Mercedes-Benz. I don't know because I'm not familiar with that.
That's never happened before.
Okay, but
they have like the A through the S, basically. The deeper you go in the alphabet, the nicer it gets.
Yeah.
And so you have like a GLS, which is the old Mercedes GL, which is the big SUV, and then you have the S Class, which is the big sedan. But they've never both been called
EQS
something, right? But I think what they're trying to do is this is the S Class family. What's the EQS family? Do you want the sedan or the SUV? I kind of get where they're going with that because there shouldn't be a compromise if you're getting their SUV over their sedan in terms of luxurious components. Just make everything the same. What shape do you want it in?
Right on. All right, so let's move on. The DeLorean DMC-12 may be coming back to an electric future. The car was only in production for 2 years, starting in January 1981. That was a while back. 9,000 were made. I think there's like 6,000, some still on the road. It's a much loved vehicle. The development of the car makes for a really interesting reading. A concept vehicle was produced in around 75, 76, which looks really fantastic. I think it was from Ital Design. I can't pronounce the gentleman's name who did it, but it's great. Okay, so pretty much everything about the car had to be altered from the original plan, and eventually that job was given to Colin Chapman of Lotus fame. And despite his efforts, when it was finally produced, it was known for being underpowered and also not screwed together super well. In the 90s, Stephen Wynn bought the official logo and all the extra parts and restarted the company, as well as supplying parts for the existing fleet. The plan was to restart production with some changes, of course. In the 2000s, there was talk of electric versions, and at one point, I think around 2010, Epic EV was going to supply a drivetrain and a composite chassis for the DeLorean DMC. Now, if you've never heard of Epic EV, that's okay. It was spun out of Epic Boats, which was the company founded by Chris Anthony prior to his founding of another company called Aptera the first time. So you've probably heard of Aptera, and maybe you understand who Chris Anthony is now. But yeah, so that was a plan at one point. Obviously, none of that happened. But now things are a little bit different. Apparently, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, or NHTSA, has finally released some rules governing the low-volume production of replica cars that resemble vehicles from at least 25 years ago. The actual bill to achieve this aim was passed back in 2015, but man, molasses over there, and it's 4 years. Yeah. Okay. So in a post explaining all this on the DeLorean website, they mentioned that they were going to use an internal combustion engine, but the 4-year delay means that the tech they wanted to use would be near its end of its useful life. It would be too dirty for the regulations that are coming in. So they're officially looking at moving it forward as an electric vehicle. And it may take some time. They've COVID has really messed with their plans, and a lot of people they're working with that suppliers have moved on, and it's a big deal to start a car company or start car production. There's like the supply chain management is and planning. It's crazy. But anyway, Kyle, how awesome would an electric DeLorean be?
Well, I know of maybe 20 of them on the road already, which is pretty exciting. And some of them are one-offs. Some are backed by DMC in some way. I think they actually had like an official EV conversion kit a few years ago. And there's a couple reviews online and things like this. I am after the DeLorean, generation, but I still love Back to the Future. So I don't love the car for the car. I love the car for the movie, a bit like how most people recognize Aston Martins. I don't like Aston Martins for the James Bond stuff, but I like them for the car. So I'm a weird intergeneration thing here. Yeah, I look, does it really do anything? No, it's just going to be a toy for people to drive around. And I like that. I like toys. I think it's kind of cool. Sure. But I don't think it's that exciting to me, honestly.
Tom. You're an older generation, right?
Yeah, it's definitely right in my wheelhouse. And as Kyle said, there's quite a few electric DeLoreans out there already,
Yeah, it's
conversions,
true.
and one's here in New Jersey. I've never really hooked up with the guy, but I know he reached out to me at one point, and I wanted to definitely take a ride in it because I mean, here's something that I don't know if I ever mentioned on the podcast. I had a DeLorean.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and well, I kind of had one.
Why is that not surprising to me?
So, I had an uncle who bought one. Was one of the first like people who put his money down early on. I think he paid $29,900 for it. It was just a tick under $30,000. And back in '81, he bought it. So he had it for a couple of years. So now I got my driver's license in 1985. So he was bored of it already by then. It was sitting in his garage, and I get my driver's license, and he calls me up on my birthday. Congratulations, you got your driver's license. He goes, you know what? Come over and pick up the DeLorean. You know, you can drive it. So I go pick it up, and I'm like, oh, this is awesome. I just got my driver's license. I'm 17. I pick it up. I'm like, all right, I'll have it back by, when do you want it back by? Keep it. So,
Wow.
so now it wasn't keep it to own, just keep it as long as you want. So I had it for like 3 months. I mean, like talk about being spoiled. The first car you drive, even though as Kyle mentioned, it wasn't it wasn't a real enthusiast's car. But I was just 17, just got my license. I didn't know anything about driving. I still don't know anything about driving. But I just to tool around in the thing, it was slow. Went 0 to 60 in like 10 seconds or something like that. But nobody was cooler than the guy that pulled up in a DeLorean. I don't care. You could have a Magnum PI Ferrari. You could pull up with anything you want. When you pulled up in that damn thing and lifted the doors up,
Straight up the doors.
You rocked. So I have a rich history with that. And anyway, so after about 3 months, it broke one day when I was driving it because these things broke all the time. So my uncle had to tow it, and it cost like $3,500 to fix, and then that was it. I never got it back. So unfortunately, he asked me if I wanted to buy it, and he was like, "Just give me like 15 grand or something like that." And it was in great shape, but that was I had $15,000. I had like 1,500 in my bank account, and I worked to have that. But anyway, so, I digress. There's going to be electric DeLoreans. The car is iconic. It looks like it should be electric with the stainless steel. It has that pedigree of Back to the Future. I don't know when this is going to happen. I don't know if it's this company. I don't know if it's another company, but we are going to have electric DeLoreans. We have to. It's the right thing to do. And if I'm in the right financial position at the time, I'd love to buy one.
All right. Well, you heard it here. You heard it here, folks. They're coming, and they're going to be electric. All right. So it looks like the construction of the Model Y portion of the Shanghai Gigafactory from Tesla's is completed enough for production of cars to begin. Now, made in China Model Y crossovers are rolling off the line. The Tesla began deliveries of the car in 10 cities simultaneously. They're all long-range all-wheel drive versions to begin with, and the performance version will begin in Q3. Yeah, Martin, any thoughts on this? It's a big deal. It's like a year. It's been a year. It was under construction or less.
Yeah, it was a year from groundbreaking. It was a year to the day from groundbreaking at the factory to the handover delivery of the Model 3s. That was the famous one with Elon Musk on stage, taking off his jacket, doing some dad dancing. That was obviously a pre-COVID big handover ceremony, and we wondered what they would do for this. And there was 10 smaller events. Obviously, you can see people are wearing masks and socially distanced. So, which is more, in fairness, than I think the US did, because isn't it right? Almost a year ago, people like our readers and viewers just started reporting having their Model Y available. Right. So it was kind of a halfway house of an event. But yeah, you're right. A year for the Model 3, a year for Model Y, which is just incredible, and it puts more pressure on those teams in Berlin and Texas. It just puts more pressure on the internal politics of those people working in the company to, well, look what they did over here. So get cracking over here.
Right. So this is a Model Y with a one-piece casting in the back, I believe.
Yes, that's in the back, and then Berlin will be the front and the rear and the structural battery pack. So again, it's not like the car that is going to be made. Well, it is like the car that's made in the US now, and it as we've seen from some of our readers have sent photos in, but it's unlike the car that'll come in June or July from Berlin.
I think we have a little link there. You could probably click on for. We had like a little unboxing video as well. So they had these ceremonies, and then within a day or two, somebody had already made a little video, sort of unboxing, sort of showing around the car. Yeah, let's take a look. So yeah, we're kind of wondering what the quality is going to be like. Like fit and finish is still an issue for Tesla. I mean, it really. It sucks that that's the case, but it does seem to be the case. Sandy Munro just got a new Model 3. Sandy Munro does a vehicle teardown, so he gets cars and tears them apart. And he measures everything and evaluates how much it costs to make the car, like the parts and the processes to build it. Anyway, so he got a new Model 3 and he tore it down, and and the fit and finish still weren't great. After it's been in production for 2 years, and yeah, so. But we've heard good things about the fit and finish at the Model Y factory, the Gigafactory in Shanghai. And so it'll be interesting to see if we can get any idea how that looks on this. Kyle, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking fit and finish. It doesn't really matter. And I'll tell you where I'm coming from with this.
Okay.
Do you ever walk through a parking lot and just measure millimeter panel gaps between the door and the body panel next to it?
Were you watching me last weekend?
Yeah. Because, I have to say, I've personally owned 3 Teslas now. And if I get up close, certainly I can see some things. But I don't buy it as like a special car to cherish. They're not. They're commodities. They're just pumping them out in full volume. Nothing is special about a Tesla at this point. It's not like a nice luxury car. It's just a car. I see there's like 6 of them in my neighborhood here. They're all parked on the street. So does the I'm going to measure the paint thickness and every inch matter? No, because guess what? When you go to trade in the car, which you will, because it's not a lifetime keeper, it's not going to be worth $1 million one day. It's going to be worth the same if it's perfect or not. So if you look at it purely as a tool to get you from A to B, as long as you're not getting wind in your face or water when you run through a car wash and it looks reasonably okay. Personally, I'm fine with that on a Tesla because I don't view it as a niche luxury special product. I think a lot of people do. I think people are really harping on it too much. Look, I just had a new Porsche Taycan, right? A press car, by the way. That car didn't line up that great either. I mean, if you start looking at everyone else's, you'll notice this problem isn't unique to Tesla, and we should all just move on and drive. And, as long as you're not getting wind in your face driving down the highway, then you're fine.
I agree with you to a large extent, but Tom's car, Tom just got like a Model 3 recently, and the
car's especially bad.
Man, that back, like you made a video, and I'm just standing there and looking at where the trunk closes on the left-hand side. I believe they have a new strut, so it has like a power strut that opens and closes by itself, and they have a hard time, it seems, like getting the trunk lid flush. I don't know even how to explain it, Tom.
Right. So the top of the trunk can't sit with the C-pillar of the car. You could almost stick a finger in there. Yeah, I thought that was pretty disappointing because you can actually see through.
Right.
That's a blatant oversight. But everyone's out there freaking out about a 0.5 millimeter here or there.
Yeah, that's
just drive the car. Yeah. It's too much.
I definitely agree with Kyle to a point. People are obsessing over this with Tesla, and the height of it came when I went to order the Tesla, or I forget. For some reason, I was at my local Tesla service center, and there was a Model 3 in the parked back of it, and somebody put the little stickers that it says sign here that you use for contracts. They had them all over the car. It looked like a car that goes in a wind tunnel. You know, when they put the things on them in the wind tunnel so that they're flapping in the air? This guy had like 50 of them all over the car, like where he wasn't happy with the paint and with the gaps. And I was trying to figure out what he was talking about with half of them. Now, yeah, there were some things that weren't perfect, but people are freaking out over this. And I'm not one of those people. I do, however, think Tesla should be doing a better job. My car, for instance, as Dominic mentioned, should not have left the factory. There can't be a quality control division that would let that thing leave, because I could stink my pinky in the gap how thick it was. But I will tell you, update, it's fixed.
Awesome.
I brought it back to the service center. The passenger side front door also stuck out nearly 1/4 of an inch when you closed. And so I said that, and the other thing, when I got my first Model 3, there were 4 or 5 things that I didn't really like about it, but I didn't bring it back because I'm not obsessed over this. It wasn't leaking water. Things were a little off, but I said, hey, that's what you're getting when you're getting a Tesla. It's still worth it because I bought 2 of them. So, but the hatch was just like crazy bad, and but it's totally fixed now. So that makes me even like a little bit more upset, because at first I thought it was like a design problem. Like, okay,
Right.
with this new power strut, like it can't be adjusted right. Like there's a problem here, and they're all going to be a little off center. But when they fixed it, it's like, okay, no, they just effed up when they put this thing together. And like, hey, come on, it's not that hard, and well, building a car is hard, but it's not that hard to do quality control. And Tesla just get them out the door, and hey, if a customer has a problem, bring it to the service center like I did. It's fixed. I'm happy. So, I see where Kyle's coming from. It's kind of like, should it be that way? No, but it's happening, and they're selling many of them. So.
Right. Well, I'm glad they could fix your trunk there, because that was bad. But it actually gives me more confidence. I would feel better about going, because it's not an actual issue. I was worried it was going to be like an issue. But anyway, we should hit these, get back into this thing. So it'll be interesting to see how the fit and finish in China works out anyway, because they're using the one-piece rear, and I don't know if that really how that ends up affecting like panel alignment, whatever, but we'll see. So the interesting thing about this now is like the price. So the long range all-wheel drive version is $52,410 US, basically equivalent. And the performance version is coming a little later this year, I believe, in China, and that's $57,000. But for $52,000, you can get a Model Y in China. We have this other story that Volkswagen has released its ID4 prices in China, and it's cheaper than the Model 3. Not even the Model Y, it's cheaper than the Model 3. And it has more range, I think, than the standard range plus. It's cheaper than the standard range plus Model 3. So it's cheaper than the cheapest Tesla Model 3.
And if you maximum spec this to the top spec of the ID4, the top spec, if you fully load it, is still just cheaper than the cheapest possible Tesla you can buy. The cheaper one is 30 grand equivalent, isn't it? Yes, crazy.
Right. So
look at the ID4 Cross. So they have the roof line, right? I mean, or are those two the same? It's hard.
Yeah, no, that's the same. So the way they do it in China is they call it the ID4X and the ID4 Cross. And someone can tell me in the comments if I'm wrong. The ID4 because this was done, the factories were being built before Tesla came in, and you had to be a 50-50 joint venture in China. You couldn't be more than 50% foreign owned to bring in investment and knowledge. So VW set up 2 joint venture foreign companies, VW FAW and VW SAIC, or maybe the other way around, SAIC VW. So I might get this wrong. The ID4X is the one made by SAIC VW. There'll be 300,000 of those made every year. And the ID4 Cross is the one that is basically the same as the US version and the European one. That's made by FAW VW. They are different specs, and they even look slightly differently. So the one made by FAW VW is the one that we get. The one made by SAIC has got design tweaks, but they're both called the ID4. And yes, I find this incredibly weird, but apparently in the Chinese market, not that weird.
That's so funny. I can't wait to figure all this stuff out.
It's so weird.
I know. And I thought when I saw Cross, I was like, oh, is it this like the slopey roof line?
Me too. Yeah. I thought it was like the. So this just popped up, and then I was like, no, that's the same one. So that's so weird. Gosh, Volkswagen and China, this is all complicated, but sounds normal, I guess.
All right. So if you go to China this summer, this is something maybe you can look at. Put the two ID4s together and see what spot the differences.
Yes, we'll have to do that this summer. Yep.
So, but it's still pretty interesting. So, yeah. So for the Model 3 Standard Range Plus, it's $38,000, $38,571 U.S. equivalent. In China, the ID4 Cross, in its most expensive Chinese version with a range of 341 miles. That's NEDC, so it's not really 341 miles. It's 3749. So, I mean, that's just tells me that, man, Tesla's got some competition in China, like the Model Y and Model 3. I'm not sure. I mean, Tesla's like highly revered, I think, in the Chinese consumer's mind. I'm not sure where VW is at. Is that, you know?
They are. I mean, they sell VW are the badge is incredibly popular in China.
Okay.
I don't think there is as much of a factor in terms of aspiring to get with Tesla and VW. So from what I read, I understand that Tesla is still very much more aspirational,
right,
and very much, you know, obviously with the supercharging network, very much the next tier up. But then if you present a very compelling, how many of those sales have been simply because there's been nothing in between apart from a cheaper Chinese car or this? This does sit somewhere more in between. I'm not sure how connected these ID4s are. It's a very important feature to the Chinese consumers. But whether this is good enough to capture... Well, look, they've got two factories. They're going to make 300,000 each in each. That's, you know, over 500,000 of these every single year. They are planning on making and selling a lot of them. So you would, I presume that their research tells us they're going to be very popular.
Right. Well, that's a good price point, and I'm not sure if I'm sure Tesla will probably sell every Model Y they make as well, and hopefully VW does the same with their ID4. But let's move on. So an electrified BMW M model has been officially confirmed for a 2021 reveal. Unlike pretty much every other electric startup, well, no, that's wrong. Haha. I'm reading my script. So BMW is going to slap an M Performance badge on an electrified product, with the official reveal coming around the end of June, the 1st of July. And this is if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see the teaser for it. They made like this little 3 Series pickup truck coupe, which is, you know, pretty cool. I think anyway. So I like these kind of things. But on the sticker on the door, it says something like 2021. So it's been interpreted as the 26th week of 2021. We're going to see an electrified product or something now. Some are saying it'll be an M-branded version of the i4, and others are claiming it's going to be like a plug-in hybrid version of the X8, which is a huge SUV that BMW has. I don't know if anyone wants to say anything about this or not.
Oh, this is a big deal. This is a huge deal.
Okay.
As a BMW M enthusiast,
okay,
this is almost sacrilege for many of the owners. So benefits of electric vehicles. I'll make it short, Dominic. Benefits of electric vehicles for performance is insane power, really good control, and that's kind of it for performance. Benefits of combustion for performance: out the roof, noise, drama, fun, experience, emotion, things we've never seen in an electric powertrain before. So and I have to say, new M BMWs don't do it for me. They're very boring. They're very capable. I just had an M8 on track and it was like driving a rubber ball, really mushy. I'm much more of like a M from 5 to 10 years ago kind of guy. Yeah. Screaming V10s, V8s, all that stuff. So are they really losing much off of their kind of dumbed down combustion M vehicles to go to an electric one? No, but they're also not going in the direction that I want them to go, which is to make truly exceptional performance vehicles. And up to this point, maybe they'll prove us wrong. I hope they do. We have yet to see a truly exceptional performance enthusiast electric vehicle. Anytime you drive an EV, I've driven them all on track. I have a Model 3 Performance, arguably the lightest, most fun performance EV that you can get. And it gets boring after 2 laps. Like, it's just, there's nothing going on here. So I hope BMW finds a way to make electric exciting for performance driving. And if they can, then it's deserving of the M badge. Otherwise, ruining the brand. Sorry.
I've 2 cents on this also. Back in 2000. I think it was 2013. I was either at the LA Auto Show or the Frankfurt Motor Show. I forget which one. The i3 was just about ready to launch, and I was talking to the M brand bosses. I was there with BMW blog owner Horatio Bureau, and we were just talking about the i3. At the time, I was still driving the Active E, the BMW Active E, and I mentioned something like, so when are we going to have an electric M car? And like the team of them, like before I could even get that out, were like, never, in their German accent, you know what I mean? And I was like, it's the transition. It's going to happen. Not M. No, this will never happen. There will never be electric M car. And I just wish I could have remembered who the guys' names who were there, because I would send them an email. So I'd find them and send them an email. But I mean, this isn't new. It's not like they just announced it now. They announced this maybe about 4 years ago. They said eventually there's going to be an electric M car. And then maybe 2 years ago, they were like, okay, in 2 or 3 years, there's going to be an electric M car. I just wish I remember who said that. The whole team of them looked at me like with their stern German look and just never.
Well,
it's happening.
Well, you know what I would like to see? I would like to see a new BMW i8. Not exactly the same as the old one. Take the, maybe base it off the original design, but, all new and all electric. And that thing looks so, I saw one in traffic the other day here in Tallahassee, and it was, man, they look so good, man. If they just had
Super hard to get in and out of.
Yeah, they are. Well, yeah.
It's a controlled fall. That's the only way to get into it, honestly. And I had the opportunity to take one on a track for a while, and it was a lot of fun. And even I'm not this big guy, but even me, like, there's no way to just, you have to lean, get one leg in, and then just go, boom, and fall in.
I mean, it's impossible.
But Dom, you saw they had a concept of that. The next generation, it was called M something, I forget. They had the next generation all electric i8 M car. And if I'd have known we were going to be talking about this more, I would have had Martin have the picture ready. And it looked so cool, but they announced like a year or so ago that that's not going to happen.
Okay, well, maybe they should change that. Go back to that drawing board. But anyway, so we got a ton of stories yet to touch on, so I want to just keep on moving. So unlike pretty much every other electric startup, Rivian is not going public, not yet at least. So it's still raising money, and it just closed its first investment round of the new year, adding another $2.65 billion to its coffers. The investment round was led by Amazon's Climate Pledge Fund, Co2, D1 Capital Partners, and Fidelity Management and Research Company, among others. There's a bunch of other names, actually. I saw somewhere that were involved with this. Getting in on the ground floor, man, getting that equity. The R1T is planned to start first deliveries in June, and we are hoping to get our hands on one before that, hopefully in the spring. Yeah, and I don't know if anyone wants to touch on Rivian Anthem. Anything? Nope. Okay, yeah.
We haven't said before.
We all love it, and we're all looking very much forward to it, basically. Yeah. Okay. So other big news this week. This is good. The poor man's Porsche Taycan is arriving early spring, and we have some details now. This is, of course, the rear-wheel drive base version, and it will start at $79,990. So not too poor. That's effectively $73,840 after delivery charges and deducting for the federal tax credit. 0 to 60 is 5.1 seconds, which compares to like 2.6 seconds for the quickest version.
It'll be faster than that. So Porsche gives all their acceleration numbers on like the Aero all-season tires and wheels, and then all their range numbers on the 21-inch crazy Mission E wheels, because it's Porsche. They do everything dumbed down, with their combustion acceleration. It's highest altitude, lowest fuel quality. That's your 0 to 60. With electric, it's worst tire combination, probably low state of charge. And so this will be in the floors 0 to 60, I'm guessing.
Okay.
And the price point is cheaper than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. So 70 grand for a car that will go over 300 miles, because this will be If you get the 2 battery sizes still with this, but
Right.
spec the bigger battery. So whatever that is, it's 6 or 7
Like
grand more.
5 or
But,
6 grand more. Yeah.
but it'll be a 300 mile plus EV then.
Real world, I think you'll get that right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We've done 278 miles in the 4S on the 21-inch wheels. I had one recently on the Aero wheels in 25-degree colder temperatures and matched that range. I also then redid the test and was on track for over 300 miles before they shut down the highway 20 miles before the finish, and that was a bummer. I really wanted to show Taycan can do 300 miles at 70 miles per hour on the Aero wheels. And yes, it can. But again, we just have to redo that test. The rear wheel drive, they claim, should be more efficient, but it doesn't quite make sense to me.
Right.
We run the all-wheel drive in range mode, it decouples the rear drive unit and runs front wheel drive and pulls itself along. So it's a weight savings benefit that they're going to be getting here. But other than that, it'll be interesting to see. It might actually be closer to the all-wheel drive than we're thinking. But yeah, you just have to ignore EPA on Taycan. They got it so wrong, more wrong than any other car. It does serious range. We were matching EPA cruising on the Cannonball in cold temperatures at high speeds. So this is a really, really underrated car. The price point is excellent. Think about when Model S used to not cost under $80,000, right? And it still might not cost under $80,000. I think you can only get the big battery S right now.
Yeah.
So I think it's the deal of the century. I think everyone should go look at this car. You need to get over the Tesla like mentality of range and charging. The Taycan's awesome. What lets it down is the charging infrastructure bugs. The infrastructure's there, and it's there to support it. But the long distance infrastructure for reliable charging is not there yet.
So those bugs will be worked out. It's just a matter of time and how much patience you have. And I mean, it might not matter to like the majority of Taycan owners who, not going to be taking cross country trips.
Right. Just driving around town, occasional trip, like up to Vermont or down to Florida, like East Coast stuff, West Coast stuff, totally fine. If you're in a hurry to get from A to B, though, you can go see. We just released a 2-hour video on breaking the Cannonball this week, and you can see all of the bugs that we ran into with mostly on the EA side, honestly.
So that's on the original post on Inside EVs, but it's just updated with the new video.
Yeah, or you could go to Out of Spec Motoring on YouTube or just search Taycan Cannonball. It's the longest video out there.
All right.
Grab popcorn.
I will add, though, even with all the bugs that Kyle experienced, he still set the record.
Right.
The infrastructure's there. And while it's not as easy as Tesla, where you literally just pull up, get out of your car, plug in, walk away, don't even look. You don't even look at the station. You have to plug in, check your app, wait for it to initialize. Okay, it didn't work. Let me pull over to the other one, plug in. Okay, it's working. Now I can go inside. So you get charged. You can make your trip. It's just a little bit more stressful. And as Dom said, this is all going to get worked out. It's dramatically, just for me, I've been driving EVs for 11 years now. I was talking to my wife the other day, and we were talking about doing road trips and so forth and so on. And we were just chuckling at back in the Mini E days in 2009, 2010, how like a road trip meant 120 volt charging. Like it meant drive for a while, plug in, stay there to the next day, and then continue your journey. And that was only 8-9 years ago. So we're getting there. I know everybody wants to be there tomorrow, and Tesla set such a high bar that it's ruined it for everybody. But infrastructure is really getting there, and we're right on the precipice of this being as easy as gas to make long journeys.
Somebody in the chat is asking when will we see production EV with a solid state battery? A couple of years. Will ICE phase out, as in for real? Yes. Oh, okay. But speaking of moving forward and getting better, the EPA is altering, or Porsche and the EPA, they're altering some of the ranges for 2021. So we don't have the official EPA range of this new rear-wheel drive Taycan, but we did get hold of a document from Porsche that had some of the ranges for 2021 of the other ones, and they all seem to be like 12 or 15% better. So on paper, they're going to look a little bit better. I think the Taycan 4S was rated at 203 miles before, and now it should be like 227 miles. The Turbo and Turbo S are respectively at 212 and 201 miles. Before it was 201 and 192 miles. Right. So they're adding like around 10-12%. Right.
A lot of it's wheel and tire selection that they changed. I think maybe on the 4S they based it off the Aero wheels. Porsche was telling me that they definitely submitted some updated data on the cars, but I don't believe there's any physical or software changes to the vehicles at all.
I thought maybe they changed because there's two ways they can do the testing there. There's like a cycle 5 or something. I don't know. There's a couple different things.
Cycle. They don't do the 5 cycle.
Right.
And it, as far as I'm aware, cars are the same. It is just updated data, I believe, that Porsche sent that's not as conservative as it was before.
Right. And you'll still get better range than what the EPA says.
100%.
Right. So the Ford Mustang Mach-E deliveries have been delayed for up to a month. We had a customer over on the Inside EVs forum. Actually, he had his delivery scheduled for that day, and then he got an email saying, "Oh, it's like a month away now," or something like that. Yeah. So I forget exactly what anyone remember right off the top of the bat what the deal is.
They said it was for general safety and security reasons because we want every customer to have the best possible buying experience.
And the best way to start that off is by making them wait.
Yep. It was wonderfully vague. It was a real, just the PR of PRist lines. There was nothing in their statement.
Right.
You know, they said, not to knock Ford, I think they have a really neat product, and I really like the people over there. But you know, they said they'll start deliveries in December, by the end of 2020. Did they deliver 3 cars or 4 in 2020? Right. I mean, it doesn't even make a difference. And now they just delayed the rest. So I think they just pushed to get those out and then said, whoa, we're going to hold everything else for safety related. Apparently those 4 people don't matter now. And, you know,
they give the cars back, maybe.
I don't think they were recalled. I think they're still driving them.
Okay.
And yeah, they have over-the-air updates, so it has to be hardware related.
Yeah, it should be interesting.
Just software update every car. It's hard to say.
So like I was saying a few shows ago, this is Ford's first really all-electric car, and there's going to be problems. There's going to be like teething issues. I mean, it's a great product from what we see, and yeah. But you know, just expect there's going to be like some. I mean, I'm not going to lose sleep over any of this, but it does suck if you're waiting on your car and it's like a big month away. But yeah, look for more of that to happen.
Let's wait till we really find out what the deal was, because this is not uncommon for any new model, electric or not, you know, and I know we're so hypersensitive to this, and you know, we nitpick on every little thing, and it's kind of a big deal that everybody's been waiting for this car. It's highly anticipated. So yeah, it's not great that it's been pushed back a month so far. Let's see if that turns into something longer. You know, I mean, because we don't know what the problem is. We don't know, what the possible solutions might be. So let's keep an eye on this, but let's not get too crazy about it just yet.
Sure. All right. So, hey, this is pretty cool. Skoda, I think I'm pronouncing that right, delivers its first 600 Enyaq 4s in 2020. So I guess that was right at the end of the year. 600. This is the Skoda brand version of the Volkswagen ID4 on that same MEB platform. So it's like similar size. And I don't know if you have a shot of the inside, but I think the interior is like nicer. I'm not really sold on the front end so much, but I can take or leave it. But the inside I think is nicer. And I think, Martin, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, that Skoda sells like it's cheaper than a Volkswagen, right?
I just want to say I'm so glad they provided us with this picture. I'm
looking at is that a filler or like a windshield wiper?
I think there's some sort of device that you can get for long road trips that looks similar to that mean you haven't got to stop. For both male and female viewers. No, I'll get you're absolutely right. Let me take it more seriously. ID4, slightly cheaper, and although not this version, it's the Founders Edition, which is very expensive.
It's Bosch.
But looks nice. Look, great interior, great exterior as well. And personally, I like the styling of the exterior more. All very subjective, but the ID3 and the ID4, I think, are soft and friendly and smiley and cuddly. And actually, the other versions that they're bringing of that, so the Seat version, or whatever they call that, but the Enyaq version of the ID4. Different designers been let loose on the outside, and I just think it's just sharper, a little more aggressive, personal styling. I prefer this. The inside is nice as well, and they didn't even really shout about these first 600 cars. I saw it as part of the press release they put out of their 2020 sales, which was like, "Hey, we sold 250,000 Octavias." And this was a footnote, and you're like, "Oh, okay, you're delivering them then." So again, I still can't get them, but super cool, really good news, and the ID4 is, well, Kyle, you rave about it, so hopefully Enyaq IV just as good.
Right. So the Skoda is cheaper though than the ID4.
Not by much.
Okay, so it's pretty close. Yeah,
And
you have the option.
Brand perception, it is the step down from VW.
Completely,
man. But that interior, it doesn't look like a step down to me. I found the VW interior utilitarian, but kind of a little playful and soft and nice. It's okay.
I like Volkswagen. I like the Volkswagen more than this. This just looks generic to me, I think.
Oh yeah,
but we all agree to disagree.
I was thinking Buick when I first saw it. I'm like, I don't know why.
Yeah, maybe it is GM because it's the GM Buick Brown. That's where it's coming from.
Okay,
yeah, I don't like this color. It's not a great color. But Skoda have done like VW do. Carl, I know you'll like they've got a massive options list, which the actual base price of this is very good, but even the screen size is, so you're looking at a picture here of the bigger screen, but you can get a smaller screen, and then just everything is on the spec list. And then by the time you add all the things that you really want, so you add the heated seats and the bigger screen and the heat pump, and all of a sudden you're into sort of pretty close to Model Y territory. Not quite. This is the Founders Edition, which is expensive, but you start to go, that's a lot of money for what is a Skoda. You can get the VW ID4. I forget the actual prices, but when I spec'd out myself last year, I was surprised. I added all the bits that I wanted, and was like, oh, okay, that's a lot of money. So, and they should be cheaper.
Right. I guess you need to go to China and buy your ID4.
Absolutely.
All right. Hey, so I got a bunch of headlines here. We'll just run down through them real quick. But I just want to make let you all know that the stuff is going on. So the Chevy Bolt EUV, that's a slightly larger Chevy Bolt EV. It's going to be revealed on February the 14th, Valentine's Day. And they put a little teaser with a Disney for that vehicle, so that should be pretty interesting. And that's going to come with Super Cruise, and they'll have all the new refreshed language of the Bolt, and it's going to look great. I'm not sure how popular it's going to be because it's only like a tad bigger than the Bolt itself, but I guess we'll see. So the Mazda MX-30 is coming to the US as both as a battery electric vehicle and with the rotary range extender. At first, I think we were under the impression that we were only going to get the range extended version here, but apparently the MX-30 has a small battery. That's why it's kind of an issue. It's like 130 miles or something of range.
35.5 or 36.5 kilowatt hour in this. It's really, it's super low. Like wait till it gets cold, and you know.
But if you just need a short range and you're not into range extenders, and this is going to be like a rotary engine too, I think.
But even both versions are dog heavy as well. So if you can't have a big battery and you're going to get a car, and it's not even that cheap, and it's really, I forget what it is, but it's when you compare it to the cars in its class, it's way it's like first or second of the cars, similar size, really heavy, a conversion of a combustion platform not even done in a very good way. Don't buy this. Don't. You'd be
so well, except this.
Yeah, don't buy this.
I didn't say that. Sorry, Mazda.
No, I said it. You can blame me. You'll be test drive it, and you won't buy it.
I don't know anybody at Mazda anyway, actually, now that I think about it. Okay, so something else to look out for. Kia is about to reveal its first dedicated EV new design direction and nomenclature next month. So that's going to be, they've had a dedicated, this will be the first ground up I guess EV. It's going to be on the eGMP platform that Hyundai is using for the Ioniq 5. And I think we were saying it's going to be called like the LV or something. Kia, actually, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see the Kia has like a new logo now too. And if it was the Kia LV, that would kind of look kind of cool, Kia, and you could stylize it the same way. But that's not what they're doing. For the nomenclature, it's going to be EV1 through EV9, which is like super boring. I hate it, but that's me. Let's see, what else do we have? Oh,
EV1, that's an interesting name to call it in the
yeah,
US.
right.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. I'm surprised they're allowed to.
I don't think they will be.
Maybe, yeah. Actually, we'll have to see if that's because if you don't know, GM had a car called the EV1 in the late 90s, early 2000s. That was a full electric body with lead acid batteries at first, and I think they did have some nickel metal hydride later on. But anyway, that was called the EV1, and so yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Kia gets around that, or if they do. Maybe we'll have an LV after all. I don't know.
I think it's going to be Hyundai, Kia as a group, Volkswagen group, and then you'll have like Tesla and some startups as the leaders in electrification. People are not keeping a close enough eye on Hyundai, Kia group. We've seen the eGMP platform, some other things. These guys are all in, and they're doing it right.
Yeah, it's going to be a big year for those guys. The Enyaq 5 is getting lots of good attention. It looks great, and I kind of have high expectations for the Kia as well. I really like the original concept. So in other news, let's see. This is too much to talk about right now, but GM reportedly is pondering making an electric Corvette crossover. I mean, there's a lot to unpack there. We should hit that another time because
that's a whole episode.
Yeah. So let's just move on because the next thing is like the coolest car ever, and I wish someone would make this. Yes, it's a Tesla Model S, but it's a coupe. It only has 2 doors and it has no roof, and it has no rollover protection, but they can make it with rollover protection. This is from a called Ares, the god of war, I believe, the Greek god of war, but they're in Italy, so I don't know how that works out, but I don't really care because the car looks so great. I don't know. What do you think? No, Kyle? Tom, what do you think? I don't want to hear Kyle's opinion.
Well, I think it looks beautiful, and I think they couldn't make them fast enough to sell them in California. All my California friends are just like, Tom, when is there going to be a cool convertible electric vehicle available? And so I think it would sell even if it was crazy expensive. A lot of people have money out in California to spend on these things, but I mean, I think it looks nice, and why not? I like to see customization. I certainly wouldn't expect Tesla to make a production vehicle like this.
Too low volume, yeah.
Right, exactly. But sure, for like a Florida, California car, I think they'd sell them. Just people spend a lot more and get a lot less car than what this would be, in my opinion.
Right. I didn't see the price on. Anyone notice the price on this work? It's got to be at least 50 grand.
Yeah, I didn't see the price, but I've seen the ballpark of what conversions usually cost.
Right.
You're probably somewhere in that range, 30 to 50,000.
Right. I think in the States you can get to, I think, Newport convertibles or something does a Model S, but they keep 4 doors and
they look like junk.
I didn't see it.
No, the 4-door Model S's, I've seen them in person. They literally are junk.
Right.
Yeah.
But I really like the way the proportions of as a coupe, man. I just wish somebody. I know Tesla won't do it, but I just would like to see a 2-door convertible electric vehicle.
Yeah, we need like an electric sports car, something for like a Canyon Cruise. Put the roof back. The Model S isn't it, but we need something. So that'll be kind of neat to see what comes from. Maybe solid state batteries will unlock this. Something lighter weight, energy dense. That would enable a sports car, Porsche Boxster size. That would be electric.
Right.
And of course, we've had the Roadster. We can't forget this. We did have the Tesla Roadster, which is really
true.
Neat, and I loved driving it.
But it's the Roadster. It's not a true convertible.
True.
I had to draw that distinction. It's not really a true convertible to me. It doesn't really.
Yeah. Well, I own an electric convertible, and nothing matches the experience I get cruising around in the smart car with the roof down at low speed, hearing the sounds, listen to the tires work. It really is an interesting experience driving an electric motorcycle or an electric car with the roof down. There should be more focus on it, but that Model S is not the answer.
Okay, you just don't like the way it looks or something, or
No,
it's got an aero kit on it too.
It's just like it doesn't. It's just unnecessary. We need a ground up, lightweight, enthusiast vehicle. That's where what would really excite me. The next generation Roadster might be it, but that might be a little bit too extreme. I'm thinking accessible power, accessible performance, something like, again, a Boxster, a Mazda Miata, something in this category.
I don't disagree with Kyle, but the position I take is
the
fact is we're not going to get one of those. The manufacturers simply are not going to make one, not for a long time, because you're taking a product that has extremely low take rate convertibles. Okay, they're such a small percentage of the cars sold are convertibles. Then you take the drivetrain and you make it electric, which has such a small take rate, 2% of the overall pull. So you're taking two of the limiting factors and saying, okay, build a car ground up and give us this awesome car. And we're crippling you by making it a convertible and electric, as far as sales, crippling you. It's going to be a fantastic vehicle, but we're not going to get it from the OEMs, not for a while, because they'd never get their money back. This is, for the next few years, if we want electric convertibles, they're going to be retros like this. They're going to be conversions, in my opinion.
Right on. Hey, so there's a question I want to hit real quick on the stream. What new EVs will be available mid-year in California? I'm about to turn in my Volt, and we'll get my third EV. Thanks for the show. Both EUV. Somebody answered. There's one. Any other things come to mind? Maybe the Enyaq 5, possibly. That's going to be a 50-state car.
Price range really, we don't know his price range, but if we look at the same price of a Volt, Model 3 is a great option if you just want a commuter car. What else do you?
He's looking for something new that is not on the market yet. Mustang Mach-E.
No, it's on the market. They sold 4.
That's right. That's right. Okay.
ID4. I mean, that's ID4. That's in the price range.
That's the move. Just get an ID4. That's the car. 3 years free EA charging as well.
That's right. Okay. So a couple of really headlines before we end. An electric Rolls Royce is coming with a BMW i7 motors and a huge battery. Apparently over 311 miles worth of range. I would hopefully more if they're going to put a huge battery, like more than 100 kilowatt hours in there, which is what the rumor is. And
it makes sense. They'll just sell them all in China, and it'll be people that that don't drive themselves, right. And they should absolutely do this because it'll be brilliant.
But the best part is the name, the Silent Shadow.
There you go.
Love it. Yeah. Great name. Love a Rolls going electric because it fits the character of the car so well.
Right.
Think about how much time, money, and engineering they spent to make that 6 3/4 liter V12 completely smooth and silent when they could have just slapped an electric motor into it. And now here we go. Big news, big day, and really, really good direction for the brand, I think.
Right. Let's see. Also, a production Audi e-tron GT is going to be revealed this coming February the 9th. So that's the next kind of cool sports car. This is like built on the same chassis as the Taycan. So it'll probably be a little slightly cheaper and softer than the Taycan, but I think it looks fabulous. And actually the production version should look, we'll see how that looks. Hopefully it'll look as good as the concept. And Smart is reportedly coming to is going to bring an electric SUV to market in 2022 to maybe rival the Peugeot E2008, which we don't know anything about the Peugeot E2008 here in the US. So I don't know. Think about a slightly larger smart car higher up in the air. I don't know. Anyway, we'll get more of that and we'll show you some pictures when they become available. But anyway, that brings us to the end of our show. I'd like to thank you all for joining us. If you have any comments about any of the topics on today's show, you can comment on the Inside EVs podcast post, the YouTube comment section, of course, and on the Inside EVs forum podcast thread. Don't forget, you can find and follow our panelists here on Twitter. Tom Malogny is at Tomolog. Martin Lee is at EV News Daily. Kyle Connor is at Out of Spec, and I'm at Dominic_Y. Click subscribe and tap that bell icon for notifications, and we'll see you all again next week. Ciao.